And with that, hello, hi, howdy, hey, babies. Wake up, we're at Grandma's. And it's a good day. To get loved on. It's a good day to get loved on. As it was yesterday, as it will be tomorrow. So stick around so you can continue to get you some sugars. I know what you're thinking. Did Cable trim up his mustache? He did. He did. It was looking a little too villainous, a little too pencil stashy. We leveled it off. Not that I'm trying to look like I'm from Viltrum or anything, but did we like the last song? It's my favorite Prince song. I know what you're all thinking. We thought it would be Pussy Control. It's a second favorite. It's a second favorite. Then Purple Rain. Then Raspberry Beret. Party Man always first. Batman soundtrack is also one of my favorites, but that song always stood out for me because I remember they're vandalizing the scene where they're vandalizing the museum. I'm doing this while you remember that one of the villains had like paint on their hands while they're like defacing Picassos or whatever else. Prince is some good shit, right? And there's what, like a vault of thousands of songs we'll probably never hear. Can you all believe that 10 years ago, you probably had time to process this since, you know, checking the news for the day, but I haven't. Today is the 10th anniversary of his death. And my second anniversary of owning this shirt. When I bought the shirt, it fit, and then it shrunk. So it goes with being a medium fella. How y'all doing? How was your Tuesday? It is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. How y'all doing on this Tuesday? All hail. I would play more. I would just get more of the VOD muted, you know? Maybe next break. Next break. Ooh, actually, so anybody familiar with the band Yola Tango? If Spotify or YouTube or whatever the fuck has generated like an indie playlist for you over the last 20 years, it's probably included Yola Tango's Autumn Sweater on repeat, in which case, I'm sorry. It's a good song, but it recommends that all the fucking time. The point is, one of the band members of Yola Tango did a cover album of all Prince songs, and it's excellent. So I'm just gonna cue that up and remember to play it next time we take a break, because they're real down tempo, like just acoustic little ditties, but really sweet covers of earnest covers of like Raspberry Beret and Pop Life. Pop Life is brilliant. Actually, I'm gonna play Pop Life. Let's see. I know the album is called That Skinny Motherfucker with the High Voice. It's a reference to what Morris Day calls Prince in Purple Rain. So it's a cover album by one of the members of Yola Tango, all Prince songs. And it's called That Skinny Motherfucker with the High Voice. Dump. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't remember the artist name. I remember the album name. I couldn't remember the artist name. Dump. It's called Dump. Excellent single for Pop Life on that album. But also does 1999, When You Were Mine, The Beautiful Ones. Getting such an appreciation for him as you've aged. One of my more embarrassing moments when I was going out to bars more years ago, one of my familiar haunts in Fort Worth, I, out of pure innocence, joined a table. We were talking music, and I just a lesson learned to not like bullshit in my way into a conversation. But they were talking Prince, music, halftime show, everything else, greatest performers, greatest guitarists of all time. I'd had Prince on my radar only from the Batman soundtrack, So I had no real foundation of what I contributed to the conversation. Mind you, I was like new to the group. So I just hazarded a contribution to the conversation of, hey, yeah, and, you know, I was surprised that, you know, Prince was just a motherfucker of a guitar player. And you could almost hear the needle scratch of like, because I didn't realize just how obvious of a talking point that would be. It wasn't like, you know, a covert, well-disguised, you know, quietly applauded situation. Like, he was known for playing his guitar with his symbol on it. Like, but when I said that and I'm like adding on to the conversation, I did not know at the time. This was like 20 years ago. There's a part of me that's still wounded from that never recovered. In case you weren't aware, Prince is a motherfucker of a guitar player. Yeah, we know. That's why we're talking about him. Oh, I've got this text up. I'm not quite ready for that. I'm not quite ready for that. I don't have much on the docket for just chatting today. I want to cover some of the news and then, you know, get into the main feature, the entree. 40 months. Thank you for 40 months, Colin. It's just been a delight to know you. And as Sultry pointed out that alert still says Hogue scribed, I went through every single one of my Stream Elements notifications, and like even the alternate ones, and I cannot find where to change that, to like update everything to something cable related, like some cheeky cable allegory, like you've been paying for premium cable for fill in the blank. I spent like an hour trying to find the source of those things to change them, and I couldn't. So maybe that'll just be like a holdout of an old system, you know? Oh yeah, mentioning the fundraiser. Yeah, we're still doing the fundraiser, the CAPMonth Fundraiser. As of like, what, 45 minutes ago, Michigan Hat Guy dropped a fat stack of $500 on us. $500 hairs. Got us almost 500 away from just like the total goal, so that was pretty brilliant. That happened in Bryconic's stream, who is up concurrently now doing the Saka WrestleMania, which I hope he does again, because that has high potential to be a fucking riot. I just wish I had more than 20 minutes to know when he was going live. I guess he mentioned it before and it just didn't stick. But yes, 10 years ago. And yeah, if you want to... Wait, do they stream? I know he mentioned in the... Before I segue again, did Michigan Hat Guy, does he stream? We can... I mean, shout him out however you can. Or if you just want to highlight, yeah, that Omega donation, that was extremely generous. I didn't even really have to work for it, you know? Fast acts out there. I will work for it. I'll sing for my supper. But yes, 10 years ago was Prince's untimely demise. We still continue to celebrate. I will play on the breaks. One of the breaks later, I'll play some of that Yola Tango offshoot. The cover album again is called The Skinny Motherfucker with the High Voice. The artist is Dump, if you want to look that up on your own time. I'll share a link to it after we play some of that later. Today is also the birthday of the Game Boy. For those who enjoy your Game Boy, if you've ever been a game person. Hello, Mikai.
Good for 42 months. Sucker improving lives out here.
Mikai, always a pleasure to see you. Always working it. All right, I'll pat myself on my cheeks, pat myself on my butt cheeks. We're doing a fine job. That's entertainment. Mikai, thank you. For the 42 months, that's my favorite number. My good goddamn, are we gonna celebrate big time when I turn 42? We got a couple years to go, but that'll be a big one. I'll be celebrating that one more than 40, just because I feel like I undersold my 40th birthday. I could have really marketed the shit out of that one. But I didn't because it felt off. 42 though, I'm not above that. I'm not above doing that for 42. Everybody will get some Hitchhiker's Guide. Everybody will get some Hitchhiker's Guide. Party favor bags to take home. You ever go to birthday parties when you were a kid and leave with like party favors, like a little bag of just like, I don't know what, stickers, little brain teasers, whatever else. I want to recreate that as an adult. Like, you attend my party, you leave with a goodie bag. Thank you for the biddies. X is here too. X, very good to see you. How are you doing? How you doing, Bubba? I owe you a reply. I feel like I left you hanging. You're not the oldest, but you are the only boneless person on Twitch, Jessica. That claim you will never lose. Yeah, I turned 40 last December. December 10th, if anybody wants to take a note of that and give me some sugars next time around. Or belated. Or belated sugars, those are fine too. Wash my hair just prior to stream. All those curls are just super popping now. Old bones full of green dust. Is that what they are? Would never tease you and your bones. Just a feature. We're trying to rebuild you. You are doing better, X. I am very, you filled my heart up a little bit to, let me read that. Collins, yeah, also not the oldest person on Twitch. There's like a grandma that does jigsaw puzzles. She might be the oldest person on Twitch. But I mean, if any of us have the privilege and resources to continue having access and means to this outlet as we age, and we can stay connected to each other from our various skilled nursing facilities when we get to that point, more power to us. Hopefully we're still at home when that time comes, but it's strange to think that we kind of aged up into accessing this. I can't imagine just not ever doing it. There may come a time where I'm like, oh, I'm raising a 12-teen-year-old and I just don't have time to stream because of fill-in-the-blank karate practice and soccer and whatever else, and like I'll still get one in occasionally. We'll find a way. Shit, you know what I didn't look at was the $500 dono. What other incentives have been unlocked? Because one of the many incentives that we unlocked we're doing tonight, which will be the Dreamcast stream, and the Dreamcast variety stream that's coming up. But what else did we hit? Sultry TKQ will be providing us the invaluable entertainment of a Peach cosplay Mario gaming dance stream. That's the one that we just hit, 3,500. Right? Are we there? Oh, no, we're $11 away. Hey, sweeties, we're $11 away from hitting Sultry's next incentive. Oh, we'll crowdfund the costume if we can. I think we can. Costumes on the throne? Okay. Noted. Super Saiyan Goten Dragon Ball Jeopardy with community? Dragon Ball Jeopardy. All Dragon Ball categories, or just like, I wonder. We'll see. That one's been unlocked. Sunny Starblast is gonna do a pirate cosplay stream. I understand he has a magnificently cute little hat to throw on there. Dwarven Dynamite's gonna do Super Mario RPG. And what else do we get past here? Oh, Jenny finally plays a modern game. Jenny's gonna play a modern game. That's what's going on. So, incentives in abundance. Yeah. Incentives in abundance. Yeah. Let's do some good news, and then weird news, and then psych news. And then we'll play the game. Alright, so I think most of you are aware that InfoWars... It took a while, but InfoWars was acquired by The Onion. So some of you may not know that who will be at the helm of the material that they'll be pumping out is Tim Heidecker, which I found out today. Tim Heidecker, if you don't know, that's the last name for the Tim of Tim and Eric, and all their wonderfully subversive other media that they've given us over the years. Like Paul Rudd generating a nude Tane. And this is what I do. I sit on you, sit on you, sit on you, and more, and more. They've done more. But one of my favorite things that Tim Heidecker has done is punk InfoWars while they were doing a live broadcast. And this was a while ago. This was like 8 years ago. But he sounded exactly like Alex Jones when he did it.
Speaking out, saying why they're voting for Trump. This guy here is doing a great impression of him, and so I'm gonna step away because he's quite distracting.
I was about to say, is somebody doing a distraction to me?
I'm gonna drop kick him in a second, but
Here, let's see. Let's let this distractor get in here. Let's.
It's 8 years ago, but that's Tim
We
Heidecker.
have to understand that. At first, we have to acknowledge that. We have to identify that. And ladies and gentlemen, Roger Stone is going to be my guest any second now, so stay tuned. And join us here at the Republican National Convention, all right? Because we are going to take our party back, ladies and gentlemen. Too long, the globalists, people like...
that's a pretty good, pretty...
Blossom,
By the way, every time they do this,
What?
17. Just that guttural, gravelly Karl Rove. How did he do that? It's just.
Believe me, it's gonna make you feel real good.
They're shooting something as well, so they've.
This has been manifesting for quite some time.
we've been national news, we've been trolled or whatever. I think it's funny.
Tim Heidecker also does this like alt comedy thing where if you ever watch his like stand-up material, he's if you didn't know it from the outside in, if you never heard of him, you'd think he was just doing like a failed bit, but usually what he's doing is like this meta commentary about like right-wing comedians and just getting up there and intentionally bombing and like crashing out and everything else that comes with it, and it's kind of great. It can also be kind of hard to watch, like some other Tim and Eric stuff. Just if you're empathizing a little too much, just understand that it's all part of the bit. Manic, welcome in. Good to have you. And I don't believe I gave a proper white glove, red carpet greeting to Omega Nova. Would be so hard to believe that you've only been streaming for 7 months. You're hitting that shit like a pro. Doing very well. Those in my community, if you have not dropped a follow to Omega Nova yet, they're a new friend, and they're streaming with us on the Sokka team this year. Sultry raided into them last night, so some of you may have already gotten a little familiar. But if you forgot to follow them, fix your hearts or die. Fix your hearts or die. Which is what we say to tech bros. Not you all, in earnest. It's what we say to tech bros. Palantir released a manifesto because they think they're important. They think that they're providing a social good. They think that out of all of their lived experience, i.e. grotesque fucking myopia, that they know a thing or three about speaking to their place in further evolving this phase of the Industrial Revolution, right? They are recipients of countless monies of defense contracts. Okay, we can count them. The point is, they think they're too goddamn important and are weighing in on, well, Palantir CEO Alex Karp is a man in charge of the most important and frightening companies in the world. Karp's new book, co-written with Nicholas Zamiska, called The Technological Republic, After claiming, because we get asked a lot, Palantir posted a 22-point summary of the book that reads like a corporate manifesto. It evokes both weird reactionary shit and also trilby-wearing Reddit comments from the early 2010s, which is likely where someone like them would spend a lot of their time, absent having real friends they didn't have to pay for. Palantir's summary of the book is ominous, but even the company's name is unironically ominous. The Palantiri are crystal balls in the Lord of the Rings. The Palantiri are crystal balls in the Lord of the Rings that the Middle Earth's worst tyrants spy on heroes of the story. It's a fun reference if you have no shame about your company's mission. But what was the 22-point summary? And this is like the plain language. This is the Verge published a story earlier today doing like a plain language summary of the bullet points, with like an intentionally scathing, like biting retort for all of them, which is why I wanted to pull it up, because in no way do I ever want to let these fuckers think that they have any more power beyond the defense contracts that they've absorbed. And of course, it helps just fund our own knowledge for friends and family if you're equipped to, if you're better equipped to shit talk the tech bros. And rhyme, reason, rationale for, you know, your meemaws and papas to not use ChatGPT or anything such like. Palantir can, passage deleted, and they need to be anatomically improbable act until they, oh my, and never get another contract again. I agree. We'll see that when we work our ass off to shift the midterms to be significantly more left-leaning. One concern about the midterm shifting is that it may not happen, so that will only happen the more of us stay organized and collected and connected in our communities to disseminate proper information, elevate the most progressive candidates possible at the local, state, and federal level. And if you needed some added rationale to do that, you remember how Trump has already picked 3 Supreme Court justices, and that's resulted in things like reduction of bodily autonomy and a bunch of other dumb bullshit that affects our civil liberties? And guess what? He's in a position to nominate 2 more. Whether the Dems take the House and Senate back or not in the midterm. So if you needed some extra gumption to motivate you to give a fuck, that's a really good one. And I know most of you do, but the antidote to most of our anxieties is action and talking about it, which is why I talk about it more here than I had in the past, because not talking about it doesn't help. First bullet point here, I'm not going to read all of them, but yeah, Silicon Valley owes, I just want you to get a sense of like the grandiosity, like I wouldn't normally stigmatize anything in mental health at all, but in this case, they've earned it. The stigmatized, psychologically problematic, personality disorder-driven grandiosity, paired with the myopia, the sense of like social importance and unearned prowess that commands their knowledge of what is best for all of us to live by. That's a problem. So yeah. Scathing reviews here are necessary. The first bullet point, Silicon Valley owes a moral debt to the country that made its rise possible. The engineering elite of the Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation. Translation, Silicon Valley has an enormous opportunity to extract as much money as possible from federal government defense contracts as possible. To do this, we will bring back a draft for engineers. We're really into bringing back the draft. Deep-faked teenagers, low-paid gig workers, and victims of Rohingya genocide need not apply. Why? We must rebel against the tyranny of the apps. Is the iPhone our greatest creative, if not crowning achievement as a civilization? The object has changed our lives, but it also may now be limiting and constraining our sense of the possible. Translation, we can't say we wanted flying cars, instead we got 140 characters anymore because... Or we can't say we wanted flying cars, instead we got 140 characters anymore because Elon Musk lets you write essays on Twitter now. Though if you wanted the apps are tyrannical, wait until you get a load of us. Free email is not enough. The decadence of a culture or civilization, and indeed its ruling class, will be forgiven only if that culture is capable of delivering economic growth and security for the public. Translation, People are mad at tech billionaires for their obscene wealth and arrogance. Instead of winning them over by providing free access to a useful everyday service, we're going to sell a lot of software that will let the government spy on them while demanding tax cuts. And growing. I'm doing the truncated version of this because I do want to get to the Sega Dreamcast variety fun hour. And hour, so a few hours of that probably. But this was important. I wanted you to see it because it's a nice way to inform yourself for punching back. Because most of our enemies don't know how to not punch down and leaves us all in a place to punch up. And just like a good comedian, you always want to be punching up. Because if you're punching down, you're fucking round. What else? Oh, when I was getting my VOD highlight ready from the PsyChat from the previous stream, I noticed that I misspoke when I was riffing on RFK and the Maha bullshit. I severely misspoke, and I don't think anybody corrected me because they might have thought I was joking, but I was serious. I just misspoke. When I was talking about the food pyramid in my plate, I said that the RFK's Maha agenda and the report that he released was erroneously funded by hallucinating AI that could not cite its sources. In fact, it confabulated them, meaning it bullshat them, and that funded a lot of his self-imported recommendations, which was true. But what was not accurate was me saying that, what was it? Food pyramid related. Or the MyPlate. I completely bypassed the food pyramid and weighed in on the MyPlate. I rather meant to say that they thought that the food pyramid was still active and completely bypassed during the Obama administration, the first one, Michelle Obama, along with Health and Human Services and a big federal operation, determined that the food pyramid was not appropriate, and then they released the MyPlate. And there was a whole myplate.gov, re-engineering what goes on our plate, more healthy green vegetables, less red meat, less dairy, heart-healthy fats, that kind of thing. But when the Maha initiative rolled out, they almost seemingly ignored that the MyPlate existed because a lot of the policies they were endorsing came directly from that without acknowledging it. And they were talking about, I remember one of the bullet points was, we gotta flip the pyramid over, and that's the way to go. But I fucked that up last stream. I didn't get it right, so there's me self-acknowledging, catching some needed humility. That is from Chrono Trigger. Yeah, that's Glenn. That's Glenn. It's not too much of a spoiler. You don't play too much of the game until you find out that Frog's name is Glenn. That's him. And to memorialize Prince, hey Collins, look what shirt I'm wearing. I bought this with Collins. I danced like this. Collins bought me this shirt when I danced like this, and then he told me to stop and never do that again. At the Music Instruments Museum in Phoenix, Arizona, where they have one of Prince's guitars, one of his pianos that he used on tour, which is cool as shit. I think even maybe one of his outfits, if I'm not misremembering, in a big glass case. If you're ever in Phoenix, Arizona, go to the Music Instruments Museum. It's wonderful. I think I need another full day there. Manic, I'll have you know I started stream with Party Man breaking us in through the gate. Oh, hey, the new kid in town. Yeah. Black and white, red and green. What else was I gonna get into? Oh yeah, chemical imbalance theory of depression. I still hear people talk about that. The TL, I'll go ahead and hit you with the TLDR version of the chemical imbalance theory. No one has a chemical imbalance. It's not a thing. Most clinicians have known this, especially psychiatrists and neurologists have known this for 30 plus years, that the chemical imbalance theory was debunked. It wasn't officially debunked until a Nature article was published in, let's see, where do I have that? 2022. So officially confirmed in 2022, but most earnest, well-informed, person-centered, biopsychosocially acknowledging providers were telling their patients, hey, your antidepressants are working, your mood stabilizers are working, but it's not because you have a chemical imbalance. And more. The reason I mention this is because there is still a problematic number of providers who use really unhelpful verbiage when informing their patients that they may have a chemical imbalance, and that is resulting in exacerbated worsening depressive symptoms, and this is why they're on medications. And why that's a problem is because new data informs that providers who tell their patients that ultimately may result in them being on medications longer. And it's not a bad thing if someone's on medication at all. And in most cases, the goal for prescribing is not for someone to be on a medication forevermore. The idea is over time, you need less and less of it. You do dose reductions safely, and then come back up if that's not beneficial to one's baseline. That's also working in conjunction with psychotherapy and psychiatry and making a lot of daily living activity adjustments and self-regulatory practices and mindfulness practices and all of the homework that comes with the actual therapy occurring outside of the office towards working towards healing. But I have a huge problem with any stigmatized language being perpetuated, especially if it's harmful. And so what brought my attention to this was this little excerpt was released today. Believing in a chemical imbalance might keep patients on antidepressants longer. People who view their depression or anxiety as a result of a chemical imbalance tend to use the antidepressants for much longer periods than for those who see their condition as a reaction to life events. And here's the thing. As I mentioned biopsychosocial earlier, we are complex creatures. Some of us are born with genetic markers that make us more likely to have mood disorders, thought disorders, especially anything related to, speaking to the etiology of autism spectrum disorder, ADHD. To it, this is not like a one-size-fits-all discussion, but I wanted to bring awareness to that. It goes on to say these individuals are less likely to attempt coming off their medication, even when ongoing symptoms are mild. The research detailing these patterns was published in Journal of Affective Disorders. Yeah, side effects will give you curly, highlighted hair. And it'll make you a throbbing, engorged democratic socialist who says things like free Palestine, trans rights. Just doing a quick fucking vibe check. You got the joke! You got the joke. Where are you from? How'd you find the stream? Have fun! Since 1990s, pharmaceutical marketing and educational campaigns have heavily promoted the idea that depression is a biological disease. Many of these campaigns specifically claimed that emotional distress originates from a lack of serotonin in the brain. The medical explanation was originally intended to reduce social stigma and encourage people to seek professional help. Over the past few decades, prescriptions for depression and anxiety have surged in the United States and the United Kingdom. Again, I want to emphasize that the point of me reading this is to not disparage anybody taking a psychotropic medication. I don't want it to ever be interpreted in any form or fashion. That's what I'm doing. Well, I think it may not have been like completely overt, but if someone comes in and makes a comment on my appearance like that, they're probably not here in good faith. It doesn't scratch my paint, but it's still like, that's your first comment? They're not one of us. Also, why I followed up with Free Palestine, trans rights, just a quick temperature check. Besides, I know I'm pretty. This is the furthest extent of what cosmetic enhancements could give me, thousands of dollars later.
You're doing amazing.
And multiple diagnoses. A growing body of modern research has failed to support the original biological theories of depression. Recent systematic reviews of the scientific literature has found no consistent evidence linking depression to abnormal serotonin levels. Despite the shift in scientific understanding, public perception remains heavily influenced by older marketing messages. Survey data from recent years shows that up to 80% of the population in Western countries holds on to the chemical imbalance theory. Also, why I think this is problematic is because when someone talks about their depressive symptoms, and I've heard friends say this, I've heard friends say verbatim, my psychiatrist told me I have a chemical imbalance, or I'm depressed because I have a chemical imbalance, and I don't know that by them saying that they're worsening their symptoms, but I also can't really comprehend how that's a productive, self-connected thing to say, especially when we know now that the information that would have funded saying that was not correct in the first place. So if you hear anybody saying this, you can welcome the gentle challenge, well, no, you're not. The Nature article is not formatted very well. I say Nature article, this is a comprehensive review of metadata, meaning data on data, meaning not just an anecdotal questionnaire of a couple hundred people. This is data on data, specifically looking at persons who took things like antidepressants and measuring their serotonin receptors and everything else for years, and hundreds of thousands of these people. And multiple studies. So hi Heller and welcome in Grams. I may have dropped this a moment ago. But I wanted to get through the... Alright, so the abstract is going to detail all of the data that they compiled. The discussion part is what I wanted to zip to. And hopefully this makes things a little more readable. So getting through the discussion, and you can always go back on your own time and look at the data that funded this discussion, but ultimately says, our comprehensive review of the major strands of research on serotonin shows there's no convincing evidence that depression is associated with or caused by lower serotonin concentrations or activity. Most studies found no evidence of reduced serotonin activity in people with depression compared to people without, and methods to reduce serotonin availability using tryptophan depletion do not consistently lower mood in volunteers. High-quality, well-powered genetic studies effectively exclude an association between genotypes related to serotonin system and depression, including a proposed interaction with stress. And if you go back, as I mentioned, this is including studies that one of them was like over 115,000 people, another was over 40,000. So again, it's not just some anecdotal online questionnaire that funded this. This is data on data, and boy, howdy, a good amount of it. So I guess my point is, as we're using information to guide our own experience with our involvement in our own care, and reducing stigma and improving self-connectedness, and what verbiage we use to describe our systems works too, our systems within and our symptoms connected to those systems, that we're just being mindful about the verbiage that we're using, because our brains, as we've talked about before, don't know the difference between who else is speaking and ourselves if we're saying something harmful. That would be the protective, fight or flight, non-verbal parts of our brains. What else did I want to get into? We talked Prince, Game Boy's birthday. God, what would this be, like the 40th anniversary of the Game Boy or more? Palantir Manifesto, InfoWars bought by The Onion. I rectified my misinfo from the previous stream. We've re-debunked the chemical imbalance theory, which I'll bring it up again next month, as next month is Mental Health Awareness Month. One of two, technically. What's the other thing? So I don't know who else, where everybody gets their politic, their body politic, what podcast you may listen to. One of my favorites is The Majority Report. And last week on The Majority Report, they had a doctor on who is part of the Glia project, who treats patients in Palestine, runs pop-up medical centers in Palestine, or where they have medical facilities still available that haven't been completely destroyed by Israel and the IDF. And on this episode of The Majority Report, he's less of an interview and more of just letting him talk about his experience with Emma Vigeland on the show, and he's describing, you know, all of the horrors. I won't get into it. I'll let you listen to it because it's hard to listen to, but also worthwhile. Describes all of the good that they're doing amidst witnessing all of the horrors that Israel's inflicting on Palestine. And I promise this is good news. During the show last week, Emma promoted the Glia project and asked everybody, told everybody, like, hey, my birthday's coming up. Instead of like donating or subscribing to the Majority Report, I'd like you all to donate to the Glia project for this doctor that we're interviewing, who's going back into surgery following this interview. And so cut from that day to today, and because of that ask, here's the good news, because of that ask, Emma announced on the Majority Report today, I listened to this while I was at the gym. She announced on the Majority Report today that she heard back from that same doctor that they interviewed. And since that interview to present day, they had enough money come in that they can continue operating their wound care clinic for another month. So good news. Here's a link to the episode. You can listen to the Majority Report for free. They also broadcast every day on YouTube and on Twitch, if you're ever available to listen to them. They usually start their program about 10 a.m. And I'll share the Glia project here in case nobody's heard of it. That may be your very first time hearing about it before. It's a medical solidarity organization that empowers low-resource communities to build sustainable, locally driven healthcare projects. Our core values are centered upon open-source philosophy where sharing and collaboration create an unwavering principle. Quality healthcare should be accessible to all. And yes, that's a singing endorsement for listening to the Majority Report, so we have more to talk about offline, as that is like one of my primary sources. Omega, someone who bought the chemical imbalance verbiage, I always thought that diet would affect a lot, because that's a good portion of the chemicals we introduce in the body. I appreciate the talk. Oh, sure. Diet is absolutely part of managing our biopsychosocial system, especially for following like an anti-inflammatory diet. One of the key markers of having a mood disorder is increased inflammation. Does that mean following an anti-inflammatory diet is a cure-all for mood disorders and depression, trauma, so on and so forth? No. Does every little bit help? Yes. Is that another thing that is also contingent upon having resources and access to quality food and not living in a food desert that a lot of people who would also have chronic mental health conditions would have limited access to, and that sort of thing? Yeah. Which is why we always bring attention to the other systems around. Was I talking with hair in my mouth for like the last 10 minutes? I may have been. If anybody has access to Scientific American, they have a new article on inflammation as a primary marker for precipitating cardiac events, for one, but two, neurological issues. It's all connected. If inflammation is the symptom and not the cause, not sure diet by itself would turn completely around. Exactly, right. That's why it's lifestyle adjustments and, I say being active in your own care a lot. To the extent that one has the gumption to get past the existential doldrums that may hold one in place. Because that's also effort, that's big effort. Time to end stream. It was clearly enough to get somebody banned today. Pre-digested things like kombucha can help diversify gut flora. You can even consume more apple cider vinegar, yogurt, and other things to achieve such similar effects. And yeah, a boon for those who are able to make those dietary changes. What next? Oh yeah, Collins said something cool. That's a win for today. That's also good news. So for those who don't know, Collins runs a School of Rock, school somewhere in the vicinity of Arizona. I don't want to give too much of the game away. It opened this year. He has students. And from what I can glean from that little bit of text, he's very proud of those students for popping off. Thank you for giving the gift of music. Collins, are you finally sipping on some of the rewards of all your hard labor? Because I know you were stressed as fuck getting up to the point of opening that school even right after. I hope today was a good day that rewarded some of your efforts, all of your efforts. We got a hype pin going, I didn't even notice. Old Tech F, I didn't say it, thank you for the bits. Yeah, my thing is I just can't stand kimchi and like kombucha and all those live cultures. The closest I'm gonna get to like anything that's gonna be beneficial for like my chronic hot girl tummy is like maybe Greek yogurt. Even then with the Greek yogurt, I've got to squeeze in like a shitload of honey to the point, maybe not enough to where the point where it's like, a nutritional detriment to me to have that much sugar in there. Honey's okay, right? I like a little Greek yogurt with my honey type sitch. I probably also haven't had good kimchi. Is the other part of that. I haven't had good kimchi on my hot dogs. Need kimchi hot dog. I love sauerkraut. I love like bitter, sour flavors. More so than most. Sauerkraut makes me very happy inside. Boy, howdy, get you a pooty booty too. Greek yogurt, honey, almonds, the crunch is marvelous, yeah. There's like a nostalgia cereal that honestly is kind of booty, but I just eat it. Eating booty. Yeah, granola, well, it is, I guess it's kind of granola, but grape nuts. I don't know anybody that likes grape nuts, except for my mom and me. But occasionally when I was a kid, if I ate all of my shitty, like, Fruity Pebbles or whatever else, the only thing that would be left would be, like, well, that, with grape nuts. And so, hey, you want to try some of my cereal since you're out of this one? Little Cable? And, okay. What are these stones? What are these rotten stones? But I like them. Strangely enough, I actually and ironically like them. Eating booty again. It is Tuesday. Tuesday, isn't it? Fruity Pebbles, but it's just Pebbles. Ultimate downgrade. Tindy, good to see you. So did we love on Manic? Did we give Manic some sugars? Make sure we did. We're only just past an hour, but I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take a break, so we come back with a fresh wipe on our booties, and then we can, you know, have a untarnished hour of playtime together, and we can run our first raffle for, well, whoever's gonna win that to choose our first Dreamcast game of the evening. You know what I didn't do was pull up a link to, like, all of the Dreamcast titles. I posted a little video earlier, one's in Discord, where I, you know, ran through the carousel of all the Dreamcast games. So, plan to enter a raffle, several tonight. We'll do cute little alert commands for you to enter the raffles. We'll do short-term raffles. And then if you win, you tell me to pick a game. Like, I'll give you an example. I've never played Space Channel 5. I've never played Sonic Adventure 2. There's probably a ton of other shmups on the Dreamcast I've yet to find. So whatever you think of, you want to play, or if you just want to revisit something familiar. A creature comfort, I think that's what I wanted to say. Then, you know, we'll do that too for 20-minute intervals, and then we'll run another raffle. That's me setting and managing expectations for when we come back from break. And I think what I'll do is play a little more Prince on the break, since I mentioned that Yola Tango member with the Dump album called That Skinny Motherfucker with the High Voice. I think you need to hear that Prince covers. So you can tell me yay, boo, yay, boo, yay, boo. Speaking of yay, hi, assistant. Good to see you. We're about to take a break. Wrapping up Just Chatting part of stream, but we'll upload it later. Dreamcast Variety Tuesday when we come back. Prince tunes in the interim. This is always, of course, when I encourage you to scan those beautiful body meats from your toes to wherever you may find a tingle and turn towards those and meet every little sensory need that you identify. If I can remain part of your dopamine menu for the evening, thank you. I'll see you in a few. I'm ducking you. I'm just bashful. I'm bashful when assistant comes around. That's why.